Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. Tonight, we are recapping the week's nerdy news from Arkham Asylum to the astral plane and everywhere in between. My name, of course, is Mike Gibson. With me, as always, of course, is Steve Haller. What's up, Steve?
I don't know. I don't know at
You
all,
don't
Mike.
know.
I've been out of
Wow.
the loop for about 3 or 4 days with no nerd news. So reading this
Wow.
recap was the first time I've heard a lot of the things we're going to talk about tonight. So
Wow. All right. Yeah, we recording a day late 'cause Steve was out of town this weekend, so here we are with a week and a day's worth of nerdy news. Although I don't believe anything really happened today that I added to the list. So
yeah, not that I've heard. So
yeah, we got some small DC stuff, a little bit of Marvel stuff, a little bit of Jurassic Park / World stuff, and some comic stuff as always. But right off the top, we are closer and closer every second, every day, closer to Syracuse Collectors Con, March 16th and 17th at the Horticulture Building at the Great New York State Fair. Steve and I are going to have a table. I'm going to have a table selling comics. Those two tables will be directly next to each other, so you don't have to walk too far to see both of us. And I don't have to walk too far to visit both of the tables that I'm responsible for. So you can come and say hi. We'll be doing some recording things and having some other fun stuff at those tables. Get your tickets on the website, Syracuse Collectors Con. You can get your tickets at Funky Town Comics, who sponsors this podcast, by the way. Check them out. Funky Town Comics and Vinyl, Camillus, New York. How was your trip, Steve? You were skiing.
oh yeah,
right?
yeah, got some solid skiing in and some solid water park time for the kids. So it was a great
Ooh.
combination.
An indoor water park, I assume.
Yeah, they have an outdoor one there too, but it was a little on the frozen side.
Probably a little too cold.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Well, starting off before we dig into all that news and updates, starting off with an RIP, unfortunately. Ramona Fradon died this past week. Ramona was a comic book artist and cartoonist. She was 97 years old. She began her career in 1950. Started working for DC Comics. She was most known for her work on Aquaman. She co-created the character of Aqualad and Metamorpho. Metamorpho, who will be making his live-action debut next summer in Superman Legacy. Co-created by Ramona Fradon. She also worked on Superman, Batman, Plastic Man, and the weekly newspaper comic strip, Brenda Starr. She, like I said, she passed away at the age of 97, and she only retired last month. Up until then, she was still taking commissions through her website and occasionally still doing covers for DC and then inserts and things in anniversary issues, things like that. I know she did a cover for Tom King's Danger Street recently, or one issue of that. And she's got a great kind of like classic cartoony 1950s style. Like if you see it,
oh yeah.
It just looks like a vintage style, and it looks that way because it is, because she started drawing in 1950. And she never stopped. She's just an artist till the end. So great respect, and I don't know, great respect and thoughts go out to Ramona Fradon wherever she may be, and her family. R.I.P. indeed, Ramona. Speaking of DC, this has been happening for a while, and I just heard, listen to the Hot Mic podcast, talking about continued rumors of a Warner Brothers sale, meaning that, I don't know, Warner Brothers has been bought and sold like a million times, I feel like, in the last couple years. It hasn't even been that long. They used to be they're bought by AT&T, and then AT&T sold them to the Discovery merger, and now Zaslav's in charge, and they're looking to maybe offload Warner Brothers again or sell everything to another. Reports and rumblings are saying that Universal is looking to acquire and or merge with Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers have been announcing a lot of kind of big splashy news and celebrity deals. Exclusive deals with Tom Cruise and Margot Robbie have just signed in the last month or so. They keep talking about this Harry Potter series that there's a lot of buzz about, although Steve and I don't talk about that because we are anti-turf. Like James Gunn's DC stuff, like they're announcing all this like big splashy stuff. And people are starting to say, like, it's possible that they're announcing all this stuff so they look like a more attractive sale, a more attractive company to buy. Like, oh, they're worth the price that they're asking because they have all these cool things going on. I have no control over not whether David Zaslav sells Warner Brothers.
No.
But I hope if it gets sold, whoever buys it doesn't do anything with the stuff that James Gunn has going on at DC. Just don't interfere with that. The ball is rolling. Let him keep
they
cooking.
will, right?
I mean, I don't know they will, but I think it scares me. I'm really sick of all these characters that I love so much with my whole heart being either owned by people that don't understand how to use them or don't care about them or don't even really like them or appreciate them at all.
Yeah.
I feel like with James Gunn, like maybe you like James Gunn, maybe you don't. I think it's hard to argue that he truly loves these characters, and whether or not you agree with his vision for them, which by the way, you don't even know because we haven't seen anything that he's done yet, but like whether or not you like his movies or whatever, I think if you read any article, him talking about like he has a passion for these characters, he grew up reading the comics, like he is a fan, and that a fan is what Kevin Feige is to Marvel. A fan is what DC has needed.
Or what James Gunn was to Marvel with who else would have pitched a Guardians movie?
Yeah, well, he didn't pitch it, but he took
who would have taken it and ran with it
and made it as good as he did, made a whole trilogy as good as he did.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Also Warner Brothers, my personal favorite in the Warner saga of who owns who was the early 2000s. If you remember, it was the glory of then high flying America Online.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was AOL Time Warner for a while.
AOL Time Warner. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, when they were like a corporation that.
Oh, when AOL was a thing. Yeah. Like this is just post when we were getting CDs in the mail every day.
Insane. They were like so powerful. Now they're just like another website, another like janky email server.
Now it's an email server that I make fun of people for still having.
Yeah.
Like my father-in-law has a Juno email.
Wow.
AOL is in that bucket with Juno of like, really? You never changed that?
What are you still doing? Yeah. Wild. Anyway, so no real news, just like something to mention that it's out there. And I don't know. I mean, if they're going to merge or be acquired by somebody else, I guess I would rather it be something like Universal that is another movie studio and not something else like Discovery, which was a reality TV show station. And you can tell the differences in what Max looks like now than what it looked like before they merged with Discovery, and you can tell what happened there. So I don't know. We'll see. If obviously if anything gets announced, we'll talk about it here. But just a rumbling. Another kind of minor DC story, but was making the rounds this week. Thought we'd touch on Joker Folie à Deux, sequel to Joker. Being reported, the budget of Joker Folie à Deux is being reported. The first Joker film, an R-rated movie that only cost $60 million, $60 million, went on to earn over $1 billion at the box office, which is part of the reason that they wanted a sequel so badly, because that was, just so much profit coming out of that movie, losing dollars. Highest grossing R-rated movie of all time, I believe.
You know what?
I think it stole it from Deadpool.
Yeah, I think it might have.
Yeah.
You know what makes sense when your low budget film made a boatload of money?
What, Steve?
Removing a ton of that profit margin by putting it in a $200 million budget bracket.
$200 million is reportedly the budget for Joker folie à deux. $200 million. Now, the article that I read that talked about this, I think it was Variety or something that was reporting this, saying that price tag is largely thought to be because of the musical aspect of this film. Now, like a year ago, it was announced that this movie was going to be a musical, which sent my heart a soaring, I gotta say. Because just what a wild twist and turn to sequelize a movie like Joker and make the sequel a musical. Insane. Such a batshit decision. I cannot wait to see this movie. But I feel like you could make a musical for less than $200 million. I feel like I don't know what's being padded, but I think something's being padded, and something tells me it is executives' pockets that are being padded. But hey, who knows? If it comes out, it looks like a $200 million musical movie. Great. Great. If the money's on the screen, great. But if you told me Joker to cost $200 million, I'd say why? There's no reason that movie cost $200 million. So I don't know. I know Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga, I'm sure they're getting good paydays, but they're not getting, over $100 million each. Like, that's just an insane markup. But we shall see. We shall see on October 4th, 2024. I keep forgetting that movie coming out this year. That's a this year movie. Wild.
Yep.
Steve, any thoughts on Joe? You haven't seen the first one.
I still haven't seen the first one.
Do you think you'll see the second one?
No.
No? Okay.
I mean, I feel like I can't see the second one without seeing the first one.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm more intrigued by the second one just for reasons you mentioned.
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't know.
I mean, I didn't hate the first one. I thought it was fine.
No, but I don't know. It was one of those where it was like, I feel after, and this is strictly from me reading reviews and whatnot of the first one, my brain is like, this movie could have literally been anyone besides the Joker and still been the same movie or a very similar movie, and they just happened to paste that on there for reasons. So, like, what are they doing with a sequel?
I mean, it's a Joker movie because they say it is.
Right.
And, like, there are ties to, like, the Wayne family. It takes place in Gotham City,
Right, but you could have just as easily made a generic movie about some dude with a mental disorder in, Hoboken.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the same movie. Literally the same movie completely, from what I can gather.
I feel like I've heard that argument before, but don't you think that you could do that with just any movie? Like, you just make a movie about a farm boy with a laser sword and not call it Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like, you can just do that.
You could. But, like, I don't know. It seems like there's something else that adds to that. Like, even people in the industry, it seemed like the reaction was Joaquin Phoenix played an awesome character, and it was the Joker because they said it was the Joker.
I think, to kind of reinforce your point, I felt like part of the reason that I didn't love it was because it took me seeing that movie to realize, I don't think I care about the Joker unless there's a Batman around.
Right.
Like,
well, that's Brian in the chat just mentioned it's a movie about a crazy guy, but he's a clown, so it's the Joker.
Yeah. And without it feels less like Joker if there's not a Batman to stop him, And in that movie, there isn't, and Bruce Wayne is a child. So, if they go down that route, by the time he's old enough to be Batman, Joker would be like in his 60s, probably, which doesn't seem like it would be accurate or like worthwhile or a worthy fight or anything. So, like, for me, it was like, I felt like I was fine with it being a Joker movie in any way, but I was just like, it's just not really working for me because I miss this aspect. Like, the Joker fighting Batman is a big important part of his character. for me. And if there's no Batman, it doesn't really feel like the Joker. But conversely, I also heard a lot of people complain that they thought all the references to Batman and Gotham and the Waynes were like ham-fisted and shoved in there and would have rather them not be in there. I was like, well, it's a Joker movie. Like, if you take all that out, then it definitely is what you're saying. Like, it definitely is a movie about a guy with clown makeup on.
Yeah.
You might as well call it like Ronald McDonald if there's no if there's no Batman references. I was just like, give me the Batman. I'm here for the Batman references.
You have Grimace instead of the Penguin, and
why not? Why not?
Yeah, I can just picture the Fry Guys running around. Either way, but you know, it's funny that I guess it's funny that that's my hang up, because we've been banging the drum of, for any of these superhero movies, make a good movie and then add the superhero to it. But it, like, I don't know, in my brain, for some reason, I can't get around the fact that that seems to be all they do, that it was just a reskin. Whereas, like, what I think more what we're referring to when we say make a good movie that happens to be a superhero film is closer to the original Iron Man, where it was like, oh, okay, this is an Iron Man movie and the essence of Iron Man, and we're making a movie around that, versus like just make any good movie and happen to, like you said, ham-fistedly slap something on it.
Right. If Iron Man was about Tony Stark just like I don't know, learning how to succeed at running Stark Industries.
I thought you were going to leave that at running, and I was going to say that was Forrest Gump.
that too. But yeah, we want to make a good movie, but we want a good movie that understands that character,
right?
And like shows and like gives us a great representation of that character. And in my opinion, it's hard to get a good representation of Joker if he's not trying to kill Batman, or trying to, or if Batman's not there at all in any way. And if Iron Man was just like running his company and not putting on an iron suit and fighting bad guys, then we'd be like, this is a bad representation of Iron Man. You should not call this movie Iron Man, because he's not Iron Man. He's not doing the thing that we know him to do. We know the Joker to fight Batman.
And this is a direct quote. It's almost like making a Kraven or Venom movie without Spider-Man. Who would do that?
It sure is like that. It sure is
from
like
Mr. Rowlands.
Yeah. So I am very interested to see Joker Folie à Deux. Because it's a musical. 2, because Harley's in it. And if it's going to be a story about Joker and Harley, then at least that is a more of an anchor to the comic book world and the Batman world, and another character that I love. So I'm very interested to see it for that, because seemingly, even though I can't imagine that Bruce Wayne or Batman is going to be a presence in this movie, because Harley's there, it does anchor the character to some kind of tie to the comics.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that like makes it feel a little bit more Joker-y to me.
So you think $140 million will make it more Joker-y?
$140 million won't necessarily. I'm just hoping that whatever was, I'm hoping the script will, but I don't know. We'll see.
Fair enough.
We'll see. Like I said, we'll see February. We'll see. It's February now, but it's going to be October someday. And someday it'll be October 4th, and that will be the day that Joker 2 comes out. Wasn't that a great way to say the date that movie comes out? I like to say the date that it is, and then talk about how in the future will be a different day and what's going to happen on that day. I like to set everything up really long form like that to really suck in the audience so they know what I'm talking about.
Well, speaking of long times and things that happened in the past, we're going to shift to Jurassic talk.
Yeah, let's talk about Jurassic
Things.
Things. Sure.
Yeah.
But we're not leaving the DC universe just yet.
No,
my friend. But we are talking about Jurassic Things. This is wild. This was reported by Scooper Jeff Snyder. He's hearing that an animated film based on the 6-issue miniseries called Jurassic League, instead of Justice League, is in development at DC Studios with James Gunn on as a producer. This is a 6-issue miniseries comic written by Daniel Warren Johnson with art by Juan Gedeon. It takes place in a prehistoric time period or world. I never read it. I just saw all the art for it that I thought was awesome.
Yeah, this came out like
where-
last year, right?
It was last year, yeah. Superman is a Brachiosaurus, Wonder Woman is a Triceratops, Batman is an Allosaurus. So it's like the three, DC's big three as dinosaurs. And they're fighting evil versions of dinosaur versions of DC villains.
Now I
So-
remember the book was
Yeah.
like it wasn't a tongue-in-cheek romp.
It
Was it?
wasn't as tongue in cheek as I expected it to be from what I saw and heard
Right.
about it.
So
It
like
took itself seriously in its own crazy dinosaur world. Took itself kind of as serious as it could. Like, yeah, it wasn't campy.
right. So in my brain, hearing this, my brain immediately is like, oh, this would be an awesome kid series, but it also does
Right.
not seem like this is going to be the case.
I know that's the question because this is all the information that's out there. There isn't anything about tone or script or rating or anything like that. But like, I agree with you. If done in that vein, it could be a great kids movie.
Yeah.
Or it could just be a fun one-off Elseworlds. DC's known for their direct to market animated films. This should just be a continuation of that. Like, hey, let's do an animated adaptation of this miniseries. Something fun and different and wild looking. And I'll be interested to see. It would be cool if it was a kids thing, but it'd also be cool to just see a cool animated movie of Batman as a dinosaur. Written by Daniel Warren Johnson, though. I feel like I forgot that aspect. He's the guy that's on Transformers right now.
Yes, which I just read issue 5 of and is still absolutely killer.
Right. So that alone makes me think that it could be great. And, the series did get a lot of good reviews. Like, I know people that really liked it or, thought it was fun.
Yeah.
So not a project I ever thought would be announced. And I guess it hasn't even officially been announced. It's just rumored to be in development currently.
Well, you can borrow Brian since Jesse apparently convinced him to get the whole series.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I saw articles being like, will Jurassic League take place within the DCU? I'm like, are you kidding? No.
Right.
I can't imagine that chapter 1 of the James Gunn DCU is going to feature dinosaur versions of these characters.
I mean, you never know, but I'm thinking
exactly.
I'm thinking
You
that's
never know.
probably a strong that this is an Elseworlds title.
I think it's a strong candidate for Elseworlds, and way down the line when DC starts running out of ideas and pivoting to multiverse ideas,
Right.
then maybe
That'll be a snippet in their
David-
Dr. Fate in the multiverse of slightly less madness.
Yeah. David Cornsweat will be fighting a Brachiosaurus version of himself. That'd be cool.
Perfect.
Now it'd be cool if they got, if it is part of the DCU, then that means David Cornsweat has got to voice a Brachiosaurus Superman, because as James Gunn has said, that the live action characters have to do the voices of the animated versions too. So
That would be great.
So I don't know. We'll see about that if it ever gets actually announced or actually moves forward. Moving on to some actual Jurassic things. These stories are short. We're flying through this rundown, I think, tonight. These stories are, not a huge week for news, but some cool stuff nonetheless. Moving on to some actual Jurassic things. A few weeks ago, we talked about how David Leitch, director of John Wick and Deadpool 2, was tapped to direct a new Jurassic World movie that Universal is fast tracking. Starting filming this year. Supposed to be out next year. I think that Universal just kind of looked at a calendar, and because of the strikes, and they were like, we don't have a big movie coming out next summer. We got to get something going. and so they were rushing to get this into production. Apparently, David Leitch left the project when he realized that Universal wasn't really looking for any kind of creative input, and they were just looking for, as the article says, more of a shooter than an auteur. Like, hey, we already got a script. We're not looking for you to come in and do any rewrites or rethinking or anything. We want to come in and shoot what we already got. We want to get this thing out. He wasn't really down for that. He wanted to put his own stamp on it. So they parted ways with Universal. And now being reported that Gareth Edwards going to replace David Leitch on the new Jurassic World sequel.
He of Rogue
Universal...
One fame?
Yeah. Edwards known for directing Godzilla. 2014's Godzilla, I believe.
Yeah, the first of the MonsterVerse movies. Yep.
He's the credited director on Rogue One, although there's been many reports that Tony Gilroy came in and finished the third act of Rogue One. Anyway, and he also did last year's The Creator, which had looked incredible. Got some middling reviews, but looked really cool. And they went with him. They're looking again to move quickly to get this thing out, and I guess they start shooting in June, so they really had to get somebody on board who could come in and understand what they had going on and get going. So I certainly wouldn't. I mean, I don't know that much about David Leitch to consider him an quote unquote auteur, but I definitely don't see Gareth Edwards as an auteur. So I think if they're looking for someone to just come in and shoot what they got, I think they probably found a good person to do it. Because he can just come and do it as a job and bang it out. Right. Be done. Doesn't have to like stress about, putting his own stamp on it or anything. I feel like this is I feel like he's a good choice for a Jurassic movie. He's worked with, he got the Godzilla job because he directed an independent film called Monsters about like giant monsters attacking a town or something, which got him Godzilla. So he's got experience with giant monsters. These would be slightly less giant, I guess. But it seems like it's kind of in his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And, hopefully all the behind the scenes stuff that we hear about Rogue One won't be a factor if Universal knows what they want and have a script ready to go. I feel like a lot of that Rogue One stuff was like script changes and trying to figure out how to strengthen stuff and
the rewrites and everything else that came along with it, and how to finish the script off and what we're doing and
There's some kind of like crazy fact where it's like if you look at the first trailer for Rogue One, it's like only 20% of what's in the trailer is actually in the final movie or something. Like they changed so much even after the first trailer came out. Yeah, like her running on the beach holding the plans and stuff. Like that never happened. TIE fighter coming up onto that tower when she's standing there trying to beam the plans or whatever. Like that didn't happen either. I haven't done it myself.
No, I might have to do that now.
Once. There's like a lot in the first trailer that, the line about I'm a rebel, I rebel or whatever. Like that's not in there. They just took so much out after they had already cut a trailer. It's crazy. But whatever they did with Rogue One, they did a great job figuring it out because damn, that movie rules. Especially the third act. Third act's great.
And I mean, you could have just like, you could have had a complete, like, it was a great movie, but you could have had a crap movie and then just had that last, hallway scene, and it would have made up for about 80% of the movie. So,
well, I think that hallway scene was a late addition.
Yeah,
too. I think it was, again, I think a lot of that third act goes to Tony Gilroy, who I guess he was like working as like an editor or something. He was working.
He wrote it.
But he wrote it. Okay, that's right.
He wrote it with I can't remember who, but like
I think they brought him in to finish directing it. Is the rumor?
Because he's a writer and director of a lot of things, including Andor. Exactly. Yeah. It kind of puts me back into a place where I'm not sure how much I'll care about this movie, though. I gotta say, I really liked the original Jurassic Park movie. We talked about it a couple weeks ago when we talked about the David Leitch getting hired thing, about our feelings of the Jurassic Park franchise. I don't think there's no other movie in that franchise comes close to the original. I don't believe. I haven't really loved any of the world movies. First one was fine, but whatever. David Leitch coming on. I remember saying a couple weeks ago that
him being such a like a heavy action director made me think this is going to be like a fast-paced, crazy action movie with dinosaurs, which sounded great to me. Now being Gareth Edwards, all that's up in the air. Could be anything. Could be anything. But you know, I don't dislike Gareth Edwards stuff. Like Godzilla is pretty great. Rogue One is outstanding. I haven't seen The Creator, but you know, based on like the story with The Creator is that the effects look incredible. It's kind of like it's like a pretty lower budget film, like a Godzilla -1 thing. But like he seems to know how to get a lot of great effects work out of a lower budget, which might be, I'm sure that's another feather in his cap when it comes to how
Stuff
Universal
like
sees him. So,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Last news story is a big article moving into some Marvel land. And there's a big article from the Hollywood Reporter about Marvel undergoing a creative retooling.
It's quite the
they
phrasing.
Yeah, not a reboot, not a soft reboot. Call it a creative retooling. Apparently there's a lot of internal shuffling and internal changes going on at Marvel. And we knew that a little bit because of like the new rules after like the strike was finalized. They have to hire actual showrunners and writers' rooms and things, and they can't just like make TV shows on the fly like they had been doing to mixed results. Some examples of this: apparently new writers have quietly been hired both for Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts, kind of doing like a kind of once over on Fantastic Four. And I don't know how big of a rewrite the Thunderbolts thing is, but this article also confirms, Steve, something we were talking about, I think, last week. Thunderbolts has not started filming yet. They will start filming, I believe, in April or March or April, but they have not actually started filming. I think they were close, like we talked about. They were close before the strikes happened, but they had to put it off. So getting underway. Article says, quote, "The stakes are high," unquote, for Fantastic Four as Marvel is, quote, "still searching for characters and actors that will connect with audiences and can carry its universe forward after the exits of Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans." Now that makes sense. And I do feel like as much as the MCU is an ensemble, I think it was very clear from early on in the days of the MCU that Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans are like carrying this flag forward. They are like the main characters amongst all these characters that you know and love. Iron Man, Captain America are the two main guys moving this thing forward. Lost both of them, and I feel like that. I think that's a big reason why a lot of people have felt that Phase 4 and 5 have been lacking, is because we're not on the hook necessarily for any one or two characters. Some people look at Doctor Strange, some people look at Spider-Man, but neither of them feel like leaders necessarily. Both Iron Man and Captain America felt like leaders in some way, I believe, and we're kind of without that at this point.
There's no real flag bearer at this point of like, this is the guy to follow. This is the guy that's, you know, the draw. Yeah. Outside of like Tom Holland Spider-Man, but that's not in the same vein.
I know it's not.
It's a box office draw, but it's not a flag bearer for the MCU.
Yeah, character-wise, I can't see Spider-Man like leading the Avengers.
Right.
And I know people have said Doctor Strange. I can't see that either because of the way he just is always portrayed as like a snarky asshole. And I know Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man was kind of too, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like the same amount of like drive to save himself, save the world, like kind of Iron Man established in that first movie, you know?
Yeah.
I think T'Challa could have been there, could have been it.
I think that's true.
If we hadn't lost Chadwick Boseman, or maybe if they had decided to recast the role instead of not recasting Black Panther.
Right.
If we still had the character of T'Challa, I think that might have helped. But we'll see. And I think it's all going to come down to how we feel about Sam Wilson as Captain America.
Right.
because we only got a little glimpse of it at the end. But
there hasn't
of the
been any
Multiverse
set
Report.
off. I mean, we've seen what Carol has shown in the Marvels, in not
Sure.
in what
Yeah.
she's shown, but in the, I guess, greater crowd reaction to her.
Right.
And the way her character's written compared to various, the better arcs of Captain Marvel in the books,
Mhm.
is the way they've taken her character is not going to lead the Avengers.
Right.
Hemsworth has been played for the comic relief for far too long, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
Banner, they don't have the rights to in a non-ensemble film.
Correct.
So there's a whole
Yeah.
lot of Star-Lord's not going to be the guy.
No. It's funny that I didn't even think about Thor.
Right.
Like it didn't even come to mind. But he is like kind of he's not the last because like Ruffalo isn't, he's still there. But like you said, they can't do a solo Hulk movie because they don't because the contract says so.
Mhm.
So I mean, Thor could like take a place at like, the table.
He would probably sit in the same spot he is in like that third slot.
Yeah, right. They haven't necessarily set him up as being, again, a leader. Like
Right.
the word leader is what we need here. And because Iron Man and Cap were we're leading the Avengers and also like leading the audience.
Mhm.
Like we were there for them and because we were there for the other characters because of the relationship that they had with these other characters, like the main characters.
Right.
Everything
Now,
came from them.
At the same time, a Reed Richards or a Sue Storm or whatnot could be that character.
Exactly.
Scott Summers or Charles Xavier could be that character.
Exactly. And I think they're really, really hoping. That's why this article says the stakes are high for Fantastic Four. Really hoping that it hits with audiences. I'm sure that, they maybe have thought in the past, like, oh, once Quantumania comes out, Ant-Man's going to be like the guy that people attached to, or, oh, Shuri's going to take over for Black Panther and people are going to rally. And it's like, well, like, the movies just aren't like hitting the way that they used to. And so I don't know, like we're here and we're watching these movies, but no one feels like they're like, come on, come with us.
Mhm.
I don't know. Like I'd follow Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, like, I don't know, into any battle.
Right.
Metaphorical battle, that is. Also in this article, it was reported that on a recent earnings call, Disney CEO Bob Iger has said something that he's similarly said before. Some of our studios lost a little focus. So the first step we've taken is that we've reduced volume. We've reduced output, particularly at Marvel, so the films you're making can be even better. Iger also mentioned that out of the MCU films opening next year, he was most excited about Captain America 4, mentioned Thunderbolts, did not mention Blade at all, further fueling expectations, or speculation, I guess I should say, that the film is going to be pushed to 2026 and will not come out in 2025. Will move away from its release date. So
that would fit with what we've been talking about.
What we've been talking about. I mean, what we've been thinking.
Yep.
There's no date to resume filming on that movie. They're still rewriting it, and we're getting reports that people are happy with the way it's going, but they got to start soon. Like, June is a late start date for that Jurassic movie. June is a late start date to get a movie out in 2025. Superman Legacy starts this week. Thunderbolts is going to start this month or next month. You got to be doing it now if you're going to come out. It's going to be an effects heavy movie, and
I still
tell me
can't
Blade's
wrap
gonna
my
be
head around Thunderbolts just starting now.
Crazy,
hitting its date.
Crazy. And maybe it won't, because Thunderbolts comes out before Fantastic Four, isn't that right?
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know when Fantastic Four starts, but I don't know.
Soon?
Like how many? It's got to be soon. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of Fantastic Four, this is not in this article, but I feel like we talked about this a long time ago because I
think we did.
vaguely thought it was familiar. Jeff Snyder reiterating that he still believes, and we talked about Silver Surfer appearing in Fantastic Four. Jeff Snyder still believes that Silver Surfer is going to be gender bent and will be played by a woman.
Yep.
which I think is cool.
Well,
I
I
think it's
mean,
cool.
I guess that's the other thing. Is there's a couple ways they could do it. Like,
Yeah.
there has been a female surfer, Juno,
Right.
back in the day. I believe it's on the thumbnail for our show tonight.
Awesome.
But so you could go that route. Like, as long as there's ways they could do it and keep the neckbeards happy. Where you use a character like Juno, who is
Right.
the Silver Surfer, but is also female. What
Yeah.
will piss people off is if they take Norrin Rad and try and gender bend
make-
that.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is, Snyder, I did not hear the podcast, but did he say that the Silver Surfer would be played by a woman? Or that it was, the Herald of Galactus would be played by a woman? Because there's been a couple of those as well.
They were referring to this character as the Silver Surfer.
Okay. So now that always goes back to, is that a direct, or was that something they got fed where there was some nuance that was lost? Because there's been multiple female heralds that don't have to be the surfer. And you could use that to set up an arc where the surfer either the surfer has already abandoned his post as the herald.
Right.
Or is yet to become the herald.
Right. Cool.
So hypothetically, you could do this now with the actually it was the not the original Human Torch, the android, but another iteration of kind of the Human Torch that was a female herald known as Nova, and then not that Nova, a different Nova, because Marvel.
Yeah.
So yeah, not that Human Torch, but not that Nova, combined into the same person, was a herald that worked with the Fantastic Four for years, and years in comic terms, and then use that, and then maybe Norrin Rad ends up that herald dies. Norrin Rad ends up. You can spin it off into a Surfer solo movie where he becomes the herald.
Sure.
You know what I mean? There's plenty of ways they can do it where you're not just gender bending for gender bending's sake.
Yeah.
Which I don't care if they do personally. I'm just trying to find a method for them to do it without pissing the people that are going to be the most vocal off.
Well, I think if they have a real reason to do it and a real vision for it, then
exactly.
they probably don't care if they piss the wrong people off,
right?
Because it aligns with their. I mean, I hope it's like you said, it's not for the heck of it. Just no, we should do this because it gets us here, or it gives us the ability to do this, or
right? Not just because you know what, we want to shoehorn. The rumor's been Anya Taylor-Joy. But we just want to shoehorn her into this movie. Let's do this for that sake. That's different than doing it with something behind it.
Yeah. Snyder did mention, someone asked about, they talked about it because they got a question on the podcast about if this was still attached, or she was still attached to the role of Silver Surfer. And I think he said that he didn't believe that she was still in the running, but they were still looking to go female. They did also refer to the character as a villain. So, but I don't know if that's just assuming that it's a villain because of the working for Galactus thing. Who knows what it's actually going to be. I feel like the most likely role for the Silver Surfer is to be the Herald of Galactus, but by the end of the movie realize what they've done is wrong, or they can't continue to do this anymore, or whatever.
Right.
They have a change of heart based on their interactions with the Fantastic Four, and
so
that sets up the Silver Surfer to appear in other things as a hero later on.
Right. Either abandon their post or have that realization that it's going to start. You can see the thread starting to unravel there.
Right. I feel like I would rather them just abandon their post and kind of go off, not necessarily definitively become a hero, but just kind of remain on their own at the end of the movie, and then develop them later on in a solo movie or some other cosmic Marvel thing.
I mean, if they can
So
if they can already pull off the Infinity Saga without the Surfer and whatever,
yeah,
here we are.
they sure did. Yeah. I personally don't care. I don't care if they make Norrin Rad a woman or give her a different name or whatever. Like, I'm fine with any of it. Like, I know there's diehard Silver Surfer fans. I'm not one of them. I think it's a cool character. It's a cool look. I know there's been some great runs of the character out there, but I'm not so. He doesn't live in my heart in a way where I'm upset if they change the character. But I don't know. I do think Anya Taylor-Joy would look cool, all silvered up. I think she's a great actor, so she could do it really well. But who knows? Who knows? All this remains to be seen. And again, I know we talked about this recently, but like Bob Iger keeps touting we're slowing things down, but dude, you got 4 movies on your schedule next year. So where are you slowing down? Show me where you're slowing down. I don't know. I mean, besides, he probably knows Blade's going to get pushed. So that's only 3. And who knows what... Who's knows? Like, I don't think they mentioned anything about, like, Ironheart or anything. A show that I believe has already been filmed.
I'm pretty sure that wrapped,
sitting around. Yeah, exactly. Got nothing, no news on that. So, like, what else is coming out this year TV-wise? Agatha. That's coming out this year, right?
Sure. I think
and
so.
Is that it? I mean, we got Echo already, and Agatha, and the one movie, the X-Men show.
Echo,
I guess that
Agatha,
counts, kind of. But
the Eyes of Wakanda.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's supposed to come out this year.
Supposedly. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man or whatever that's renamed to.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily MCU. Those are like MCU adjacent stuff. The animated stuff, I feel like, isn't like full MCU.
And then Daredevil's not until next year.
Not until next year now.
And Ironheart is in
And then
post.
stuff like Ironheart, that's like, what's happening?
Right.
So, I feel like he knows that more things will get pushed, probably, including Blade. I'll be shocked if Blade comes out this year or next year.
Did we say was Wonder Man officially filming?
Yes, I forgot about Wonder Man. Yes, Wonder Man was filming because I feel like I remember a few weeks ago I read that somebody died on set. Like there was some kind of accident, something, and they had to stop production. Yeah.
Did we talk about that?
So,
we might have.
I don't know if we talked about it. I read it, but yeah, it is filming. But again, that's something we don't hear anything about ever. It's not like they're hyping it or dropping hints about it in other projects or things. So I don't know, man. Who knows? Who knows?
Weird.
It's going to be really weird. I mean, it's going to be good. And we've talked about for a long time, Steve, you and me, how we want them to slow down. We want them to give us less stuff. But it's like, if they're slowing down, the quality really has to get back up there.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're slowing down and we're just going to get like a Love and Thunder or a Quantumania twice a year, then like people are going to really jump ship.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're slowing down, you have to deliver banger after banger to keep us interested.
Yeah, and to be fair, the next couple that they're, that are currently in post or have been run or whatever, like give me more than Quantumania or Love and Thunder. They don't have to all be, Ragnarok or like original Iron Man. Like
honestly, I think Captain America 4 kind of has to be Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Like that one has to deliver.
Yeah.
If that one falls apart and the MCU doesn't have a Captain America that anyone cares about, then they're really screwed.
Right.
I think. Really screwed. That one really has to deliver.
It kind of does. Like it has to at least be first Avenger level.
At least. Yeah.
So
at least. And like Thunderbolts, like, okay, there's a lot of characters that we already know.
Do we though?
I feel like the stakes are lower for that one.
Yeah.
I think. Well, we know them. I didn't say we like them. I said there's characters we know. We like, Sebastian Stan. Bucky's in that one, so we like him. I like
Yelena Belova. Yeah.
Yep.
But and David Harbour is going to be playing David Harbour.
Red Guardian. Yep.
Um,
Red Guardian's back. U.S. agent.
Cool.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I'm in it for Yelena, and I'm in it for
no.
Bucky,
At the same time,
that's
U.S.
kind of it.
agent, like, and we saw it in Monarch, where Wyatt Russell can do a great job of making you love him and hate him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, he's great. He's
yeah.
great.
So like, at least
be-
there's quality there.
Yeah.
Ghost exists.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I don't
Kind
care
of.
about that character at all.
Maybe.
I know I'm like I feel that I am mostly alone in this opinion, but I really don't like Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think is like not a great movie. That's like towards the bottom of my MCU ranking, I think.
I think it's been so long since I've watched it that I couldn't tell you whether I liked it or not.
Yeah. A lot of people really like that movie, and it did not work for me.
Right.
Wait, whatever happened to Lawrence Fishburne? Wasn't he was in Ant-Man and the Wasp?
He was.
He was, what is his name? Giant Man? I mean, not Giant Man. That his name is Ant-Man, but Gigantor or something. Like,
Yeah.
something. He was a guy that grew big. I don't know. Anyway, bring him back.
Goliath. There we go.
Goliath. Yeah. I thought
Thanks,
it was,
Internet.
I kept thinking it was a G, but I couldn't get it. Yeah. Yeah, bring him back. Why not? Not for Thunderbolts, but sometime. I just like Lawrence Fishburne. I would like to see him in more things.
That is true. He's just about always good in everything he does.
Yeah. We have one comic book related news update. Then we can do some reviews and check in with Steve's.
Ooh, did
quest
you
to
actually
read
get a review?
Sure did, buddy.
Oh boy.
Sure did.
The return
For
of
the
the
first
Mac.
time in 3 weeks. I'm back. I'm going to go first, because I haven't had a review in a long time. I got issue 1 of a book called The Infernals from Image.
Okay.
The Infernals.
So we're going to be all Image all the
book
time this week.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Writers Noah Gardner and Ryan Parrott, a team of writers. Artist John J. Pearson with Lola Bonato. Hassan Atsame Elahu is on. And yeah, bunch of team doing different covers and stuff. The Infernals is about the son of the devil. In 1945, somewhere in America. What's that?
I said I've seen movies about him.
Yeah, me too. A woman gives birth in 1945 to the son of the devil, literally the son of the devil. And then it cuts to present day. The son of the devil, although being a real live human being and working to sow chaos and disorder and evil on Earth,
As one does.
is an old man and is dying, has cancer. Angry at his father, obviously, for throwing him down on Earth and abandoning him and then letting him die of cancer. But he's got some like criminal empire that he uses to sow evil schemes. And he needs to leave his evil empire to an heir. He is not named an heir. So he's looking at his 3 children to name an heir. Baphomet, Nero, and I can't find the 3rd child's name. But the kids are not necessarily seemingly capable of taking over any kind of criminal empire. They seem to be selfish and working evil in their own ways. And so it's kind of setting up this book to be can these 3 grandchildren of the devil himself figure out, get their shit together enough to be able to inherit their father's legacy and continue doing the devil's work on Earth. It was cool.
Nice.
It's a cool concept for a book, for sure. I did not know anything about it when I went into it. No clue until I sat down and started reading it. Very cool. Artwork is great. It's very, I don't know, it kind of like swings back and forth from very kind of like trippy, weird vision kind of stuff. Like, demon devilry stuff to more kind of, not super clean, but like cleaner lines and
No, a little more traditional.
a little more traditional stuff. So, but it was really cool. It kind of like turns on the demony stuff at a moment's notice, and reminds you that you're in a magical realism kind of story. Really cool colors, plays with like a lot of like lights and shadows and things like that. Really cool art. So yeah, and then there's a tease at the end about somebody associated with possibly like a different business or a corporation that is run by possibly some kind of angelic offspring of some kind, like son of God, or I don't know who it is.
Right.
No names floated. So, but this is a cool book. If anything I just said sounds interesting to you, you should pick it up because it is cool. It's basically it's kind of like it's setting up like a crime thriller, but with demons and angels and stuff like that. So
right,
it's pretty cool. Like kind of melding those two genres. Infernals, #1, available right now at Funkytown Comics and Vinyl. Go check it out, people.
Nice.
Steve, what do you got?
So last week I did what was it? The One Hand? Is that the name of the book?
Sounds familiar.
That Ram V's latest joint. So
right.
I believe at the end of the review I had tossed out that the sequel to that coming out this week was The Six Fingers.
Right, yes.
So they're doing a kind of parallel release House of X, Powers of X or Powers of 10 type thing where they are changing points of view. So this week, Jesse gave me The Six Fingers, which is the first of the books from the antagonist's point of view. So we get some backstory on the antagonist. This is written by Dan Waters with art by Sumit Kumar. Very different feel, very different art to it. Fills in a lot of the gaps from week 1. You right off the bat kind of get the same hit into the same mystery of the same lettering that we saw the first week. Then it kind of spins back into the background for this guy and what's happening, and fills in. It's because the whole thing is a crime mystery. I don't want to really give any sort of specifics because it's going to give plenty of things away. But it really does set up, some unique paneling where they're kind of using, some of the larger backspace behind it with some inset panels and
a lot of black. I love
a lot of dark feel.
I love an ink-soaked page like that. I love
100%. And it goes from early in the issue, lighter characterizations, progressively darker, progressively falling towards what we figure out later in the book. So, follows along with that noir kind of pulp feel to it. And fills in some of the gaps from the detective side that we read last week.
Nice.
I would definitely recommend it. It seems like it's something Image is kind of tossing out there to try and see if it sticks, and I think it should. Like, both. Normally, I don't, gravitate towards that style of book.
Right.
But with both of these, they've been, very well written, very well drawn, and kind of held me to them.
Nice.
So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. Pleasant surprises.
Yeah, I love that.
And you can get both of our books that we just reviewed at Funkytown Comics and Vinyl, your local comic shop in the greater Syracuse area.
It's a ton of other stuff.
It's true.
They have lots.
It's not just those two books.
Comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of other books.
Yeah, that's all Jesse ordered this week was those 2 books.
Yep. Just shelves full of them.
No vinyl, no toys, no nothing else.
Nothing else.
All right.
That's why they had that big sale this weekend. They had to offload all these books.
The rest of it
after these books.
So they had more space for those 2 books. Got it.
Yeah. What how are we doing on your 1,000 comic book goals, Steve? What'd you read? Where are you at?
So we're at 127, so I'm a little behind the pace. Probably got to catch up about 20 books.
Pick it up, pick it up,
But,
pick it up.
you know, that's thank you for putting Goldfinger in my head the rest of the night. Yeah. So this week we hit Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 3, Issue 2 by Jonathan Hickman and Marco Checchetto.
Oh, okay.
You may have said that, or you may remember that right now my book of the year is Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 3, number 1.
Yes. Still haven't read.
Let me tell you, the second book is still cooking hard.
That's what I hear.
It was continuing in the vein of exactly how that first one felt, and I was blown away by it.
Really, I'm kicking myself. It's not often that I, especially since I've started trying to collect less single issues.
Yep.
To save my wallet and my storage space. It's not often that I find myself regretting not buying a book.
Yeah.
And I remember that Wednesday that that Ultimate Spider-Man came out.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, I should go and grab Ultimate Spider-Man. I was
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm in the middle of something. I'll go tomorrow. And I went on Thursday and they were sold out.
Yep.
And then I know Jesse tried to order more and they just couldn't give them anymore. They
Right.
were like just sold out at the distributor
Yeah.
level. They were just gone. So bummer.
Yeah.
Bummer.
I would
And now here I
let
am.
you borrow my copy, but the only copy I have
No,
is
I
that
don't.
cover.
Yeah.
And
No, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna touch that thing.
No,
That's
no.
only gonna go up
That's staying in a board and bag
Yeah.
until it
until it gets slabbed.
either gets slabbed or whatever. I don't know, but I'm like, I have that taped and that's gonna stay taped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, that book is still doing great. Very pleasantly surprised. I guess not surprised, but you know what I mean.
Happy. Just
yeah,
generally
just
happy.
generally
that it's good. Yeah.
It's generally pleasant.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
Speaking,
reading things when they're good.
right. Speaking of generally pleasant, Hunger in the Dusk issue 6 came out.
Awesome.
Still continuing, they're following the various cast of characters around and hitting all the points they need to in,
Mhm.
this was a bit of present, quote unquote, present day and flashbacks that filled in some gaps, and it's basically a solo journey through the whole book, and really puts that character in a great spot to move forward. So
Great.
I think that book is still literally outside of the fact that Ultimate Spider-Man has now usurped it as my official number 1. It is now my number 2.
Wow.
Like it's still holding that spot, but
Yeah.
I mean, whatever is going on with Ultimate is just above and beyond.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool, dude.
Unique things in the Spider-Verse, The Edge of Spider-Verse number 1, which came out last week.
That's right. Any good?
Yeah, surprisingly, they're all anthologies. They've been doing them annually for the last couple of years. This one, there was an awesome take on a Spider-Versal character known as Weapon 8.
Oh.
From the Weapon program.
Cool. And it's a spider character.
Yes. It is Peter Parker in this alternate Earth is Weapon 8.
Oh, alternate Earth. Okay, yeah, of course.
I can't remember what. I think it's Earth 72 maybe. But this is the debut of this iteration.
Really cool idea.
Where Peter Parker is hunting Logan.
Oh, damn. That's super cool.
Yeah.
What a cool idea.
So it actually, and there's a cameo by another member of the Weapon Plus team that shows up that was may or may not have been the original Weapon, Weapon 1.
Captain America?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good old Steve.
Awesome.
So they're, very, very solid concept. There was another a story in the middle with Spider Bite in it that was fine. And then the third story was a Spider-Man 2099 story that
cool.
really was, again, solid in setting up where some of the Spider-Verse stuff is going to go this year. So
Yeah,
I
nice.
think overall we're in a good direction in all things Spider this week.
Good to
Yeah.
know.
Other things
Good to
that
know.
were read: Transformers 5,
Yeah.
Rise of the Powers of X #2, Incredible Hulk Volume 4, number 9, and then Wolverine Volume 7, number 43, which is Part 3 of the Sabretooth War.
Is that going good?
Still going good. This
Awesome.
actually, so 2 was like, 1 was a good standout, 2 kind of set some things up, 3 is moving in a good direction.
Cool.
There is one point where Laura Kinney gets her tongue ripped out. So,
Oh, damn.
things are happening.
That's cool.
And then, I mean, all of these books were very solid this week. Like Rise of Powers is still doing some very weird, very X-Men-y stuff. And then Hulk is still hanging in there with the weird horror thing.
Nice.
So
Cool. I still have that first issue of Hulk that you let me borrow. I haven't even cracked it yet. I gotta read through it so I can give it back to you.
I look worried.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll continue cooking along. You read anything this week?
No, I read the Infernals #1. I've been doing my February.
Oh yeah,
songwriting
you don't have time
thing,
for anything
so
at this point.
that's all I'm doing. It's all I'm doing.
Yep. Well, you know what? You have until at least Wednesday for your poll now.
I do. That's true. I don't know that. Well, okay, we'll get to it. Anyway, the one piece of comics news that I meant to read before we did our and stuff, but I didn't, is that DC Comics are returning to Wednesday releases. That's right. DC began releasing their new comics on Tuesdays in 2020. It was a truly insane year for, well, everybody.
Everything.
But also comic book publishing, where because everything was shutting down, and one of the things that decided to shut down was Diamond Distributors, which was at that time pretty much the only game in town when it came to major comic book publishing distribution. So DC, when Diamond announced they were shutting down, DC was like, well, then we're not going to go with you anymore. Bye. And went to other distributors for that reason, and also kind of to set themselves apart from the pack, they started putting out their books on Tuesdays. I know that I don't think all comic book stores abided by that because it was just so hard. It was such a pain to have. I think like really big one chains did and stuff, like, Midtown Comics and stuff, like, places that are open, 9 to 5, 7
every
days a
single
week.
day. Yep.
Yeah, but a lot of smaller chains I don't think would do that because it was just too much work. And that's what DC kept hearing. It was like it was a complaint amongst retailers. They're switching back to Wednesdays as a result of, quote, feedback from retailers and readers. And also, like, are you going to go on Tuesday to get your Batman book and then go back on Wednesday to get your Iron Man book? Like, I don't know. It's like too much. It's a pain in the ass. So they're finally going back. Everyone's really happy about it. So Wednesdays will be just straight up new comic book day across the board now. Officially starting on July 3rd, DC Comics coming back to Wednesdays. Speaking of Wednesdays, what's going to be out this Wednesday at your local comic book store? Got Amazing Spider-Man #44, Amazon's Attack #5, Avengers Twilight #3, Batman Brave and the Bold #10, Cable #2, Canary #3, Conan the Barbarian #8, Detective Comics #1082, Duke #3, Flash #6, Giant Size Fantastic Four #1, Godzilla War for Humanity #4, Green Arrow #9, Harley Quinn #37, Immortal Thor #7, Invincible Iron Man #15, Miles Morales Spider-Man #17, Penguin #7, Power Girl #6, Punisher #4, Rare Flavors #4, Red Sonja #8, Spider-Punk Arms Race #1, Star Trek Defiant #12, Star Wars Thrawn Alliances #2, Uncanny X-Men #268, Wolverine #44, and Women of Marvel #1 one shot. Yeah. Any of these on your pull list, Steve?
Duke.
Yep. Sure.
Avengers Twilight.
Wolverine. You doing Uncanny as well?
No, so that Uncanny X-Men 268 is a facsimile of.
Oh, it is. I didn't notice that.
The original Uncanny 268,
Sure.
Volume 1, because of the tie-in to Madripoor Nights.
Oh, okay. See, yeah, I didn't when I wrote down, I guess it didn't. Usually it says facsimile in the list that I check.
Yep.
I don't think it did because I saw Uncanny X-Men. I was like, I didn't realize that they were still putting out Uncanny. I feel like that's a title that isn't currently active.
That is true. Tron Alliance I may check out too.
Did you get the first one? I thought you did. Right?
I did.
You liked it?
I did, and I liked it. I mean, I've read the book, but it's always like it's nice to see it in graphic form as well.
For sure.
For what it is. So
nice.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Well, all that and more at your local comic book store. Check that out this week. One shot for you wonderful listeners and watchers tonight.
2 actually.
Oh, Steve,
second
calling an audible. Is yours a good closer?
Mine's relatively nominal, but
I mean, mine's not a great closer either. Doesn't matter.
You can go.
I'll go. The Crow reboot finally has a release date. Bill Skarsgård will debut as the Crow on June 7th, 2024. This year. Come out this year. Lionsgate bumped a John Wick spinoff called Ballerina, starring Ana de Armas, which I'm excited about, to be honest with you. That got bumped to next year, and they put The Crow in its place. This movie was shot in 2022, so it's just been sitting around for 2 years. I don't know why it hasn't come out yet. Weird to me that they would wait so long.
Yeah, that does seem weird.
But what's that?
It does seem weird.
Yeah, it seems weird. It's not like they moved it from another slot. It wasn't on their release schedule. They moved Ballerina and they plugged the hole with The Crow. Does that mean they don't think it's very good? I don't know.
I mean, to plug a summer
it's
release
a June.
date,
It's a good date, though. Yeah, it's a fire release date. So I don't know. But all you Crow fans out there, the reboot that has been promised to you for years and years, gotten yet. So many iterations, so many writers, so many stars attached. Jason Momoa at one point going to be there. Now it's Bill Skarsgård. June 7th, 2024. Mark your calendars.
I feel Bill Skarsgård much more than I did Jason Momoa as the Crow.
Yeah, I feel like the Crow is a creepy looking character and Bill Skarsgård is a creepy looking guy. Jason Momoa is big and intimidating looking,
right?
But I wouldn't call him creepy.
I mean, like Brandon Lee was jacked, but he was like a lithe jacked.
Yeah, I also think of the Crow as leaner.
Yeah,
like
not as top heavy as Momoa.
Exactly. Yeah, not as like beefy.
Yeah.
So anyway, what do you got?
I got an official release window for the Hedge Knight that we've talked about. The Game of Thrones spin-off.
That's right. I saw that and I should have put it on here and I didn't. What's the release window for a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, a Hedge Knight, a Game of Thrones story now available on Blu-ray? That's the full title, right?
Yeah, I think so. Not quite after House of the Dragon, before. Yeah. So it will premiere on Max in late 2025. So probably Q4 2025. Casting has not been announced at this point, but we do have an executive producer and showrunner. So, yeah.
I feel like we'll get casting news this year if it's coming out next year.
I would think so.
Filming it pretty soon. A show with that takes that long to film.
Now, something like the Hedge Knight is probably going to be primarily practical, so they should be able to pull that off pretty quick.
Yeah.
So,
it seems, does that article say anything, or it seems like this would go if it's next year, because House of Dragon season 2 is this year. Does it say anything about? It seems like, are they going to alternate years? Where we'll get House of the Dragon and then the following year will be season 1 of Hedge Knight, and then we'll get season 3 of House of the Dragon the following year, or I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that it doesn't really specify, but I mean that seems like it would be in HBO's best interest rather than trying to rush out more of one or the other.
Right.
Of just give it a year to breathe in between, and they've got 17,000 of these spinoffs in production, so
yeah, I know. I read part of an interview with Benioff and Weiss this week.
Yeah.
About how 2 things stuck out. One, apparently they confirmed, I guess this was a rumor, I didn't remember it, but the final season of Game of Thrones, for a while, the original idea was to do a movie trilogy instead of the final season.
That probably
And
would
they
have been
would've-
better.
Wrap it up in 3 movies versus another season of TV. And I guess the people that owned HBO at that time, or Warner Brothers or whoever, were like, no, it's a TV show. We're not going to make it a movie. And also, I thought this was insane. During a point when AT&T owned HBO, owned Warner Brothers and HBO, AT&T, I guess, once asked them if they could shoot the show vertically so people could watch it on their phones. Yeah. Can you imagine that?
No, I can't.
It'd be terrible. It'd be terrible. Especially a show like Game of Thrones, like with those, like, when it was great, those like sweeping giant, like the cinematography was just like great, like that long. That would have been amazing. And also, I feel like I don't understand when I feel like people have. It's not the first time people said, like, oh, you can watch it vertically on your, like, you can turn your phone horizontally and then watch it like that. Like, you can still watch a horizontal thing on your phone. Just turn your phone.
Is that how that works? Weird.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing? Like, I can watch Game of Thrones on my phone right now. It doesn't have to be shot vertically to watch it on a phone.
Right.
What are you, an idiot? So anyway, I'm glad that thing didn't happen. And can you also imagine if, like, just in season 5 of Game of Thrones, the episodes were just vertical and you're watching them on your TV and it was just like, I don't know.
No, I can't imagine that.
What a stupid thing.
Yeah. The Battle of the Blackwater is just panning around all the
I know.
ships. Yeah.
It'd be the worst.
Yep. So
anyway, glad that didn't happen. I feel like I probably would have liked movies more than the final season of Game of Thrones, so I feel like that would have been.
I think we would have liked anything more than the final season of Game of Thrones.
I like a lot of things more than the final season of Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And with that, I think that's it. That's all I got, Steve. All I got. Should we wrap this thing up?
I think we should. To my knowledge, let me double check this, but I don't believe we've received any new recipe reviews.
Oh, I don't think we have either.
At this point, as you can see, we did not eat anything. However,
no, not a thing. I'm starving, people. You're letting me starve over here.
Haven't eaten in ages.
I haven't eaten in days. I'm
since
only
our last
eating
5-star review. Last time I ate was 2.5. Yeah, no. As you can see on the video, that is not the case here. However, where did I go? I completely sidetracked myself. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars. If it's a recipe, we'll eat it. If not, we'll still read it.
We sure will.
Beyond that, get a hold of us at the Multiverse Report on your various social media platforms of choice, primarily Threads, sometimes Blue Sky, anything else. It's a crapshoot. Maybe some Instagram here and there.
Quite a bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do that. If you want to get a hold of us via long form, the Multiverse Report at gmail.com. If you would like to check any and all of those things in an easier form than listening to me rant about them, the multiversereport.com will get you any of those places.
That's right. I will also give myself a quick plug. I mentioned a minute ago that February, I do a thing called February Album Writing Month, where I have to write and record 14 songs in 28 days. It's leap year, so I get an extra day this year, which I'm happy about. But I have a new solo album coming out. It's going to be out this Friday, March 1st, on my Bandcamp page, carolskid.bandcamp.com, Carol with a K. It's called Statues and Stones, and it'll be out Friday, March 1st. If any of you listening want to hear me sing and play guitar and whatever, all that kind of stuff. So I don't talk about my music that much on this podcast, but it's there if you're interested in it. And there'll be new stuff this Friday that I wrote all in a month. So yeah, please listen to it. Make all this stress worthwhile for me. And that's it. So with that, I will say on behalf of Steve Holler and myself, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you in the multiverse.